It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
Hey folks, today I'm taking a look at a little co-op game called 8 Epics. This one is from Seiji Kanai, who is a famed designer for games such as Love Letter, Lost Legacy, and this one is no exception to his typical style. Very few components, just a handful of cards, and a few dice in this one, and everybody is working together to try to accomplish several goals, basically to overcome a few obstacles and win the day. It's a cooperative game, like I said. I'm going to give you an overview of how this one works, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. The objective of the game is to get through 5 epic encounters, which are going to come from these cards here. And if all players together can do so in a cooperative way, then you've won the game. If you ever stall on one of them and are unable to finish it, then the game defeats you. Each player is going to be given, or you can take whichever one you like, one of these characters. So in this case, we're assuming we're looking at a 4-player game here with these 4 characters. But no matter how many people are playing, all the characters are always going to be in the game. The rest are simply called common characters. So these 4 here are still in play. This deck of cards will be shuffled up. We put the dice near here, and then you are ready to begin. For each challenge, you are basically going to be flipping over one of these cards, and there are several things you must complete to pass this challenge. So in this case, for example, this one has 3 stages on it, and it says that the first one takes 6 dice, and all dice must have the same number for you to pass that. After that, you must have 7 dice, and all have the same number. And then finally, 8 dice, and all must have the same number. If you get through all of this, you've completed this card, and that's 1 out of 5 challenges. Be aware the final 5th challenge is actually 2 of these cards together. Okay? So, much harder. But that's basically it. So here we go. I'm going to flip over the card, and it is 6 dice, the same number. We are going to pick a star player, which will be this character right here. And the first thing they will do is pick who the warrior is who is tackling this challenge. They can pick their own character or any of the common characters, and then you mark it with this little bead here. Okay? So, the reason you might want to pick some people or others is because each of the characters here has a special power. And so, depending on what the type of challenge is, dictates perhaps who you should be choosing here. So, let's say this one restores life to the other hero, so we're not going to do that yet because that makes sense only later on. This one here says it returns one of the characters to their unused state, meaning they are ready to fight again, because after I've used someone, I will turn them sideways. They are no longer fit for battle this round, so this lets me bring someone back. Also not good right away. This one says choose up to 2 dice and flip them to show their face down side. I'll use that. And then this one says we take 6 dice, so I will grab 6 dice and I am ready to begin. So first thing I do is I roll them all. Alright? So I'm rolling them, and I can keep whatever I want to. I'm going to start keeping 4s. I must set aside at least 1 die every time I roll here, okay? I'm rolling again. That wasn't as good, but I'll save this. And then after I'm done rolling here, perhaps I'll use the power on this character and flip this over, which on the other side of the 3 is the 4. I'll roll. That's not so good, but I'll keep the 5. And then I'll roll these 2, I'll keep a 4, and I'll go ahead and keep the 3, okay? Once that's done, then I get to pass, and I'm done. And I turn this character sideways, it's the next player's turn, so this player's. Or I get to spend 1 life point on this character, and I get to do one of 2 things. I either get to re-roll, that's 3 dice, And the same style, Yahtzee style, I get to basically keep rolling until, but I have to lock a die every time, just like I showed you. Or I can spend a life point and do the action on the character itself. So I'm going to do that. Again, choose up to 2 dice, flip them to the opposite side. I'll pick both 3s here, and I'll flip them over to be 4s. And so we're almost there with this challenge. And I could spend another point and re-roll the 5, let's say, or, you know, whatever I want, but I'm actually going to stop. So this character is going to stop. They're going to give the bead here to the next player. And now they will take a turn. And so first thing they do is they roll whatever they want. You get one re-roll at the beginning that's free. So they'll roll that. That is not what they wanted, and since it's a single die, it becomes locked right now. Now they could spend life points and re-roll. So they'll try. Actually, I did not decide if I was using that character or not, but let's assume I did. They re-roll. That's not it. They could spend another life point and re-roll. That's not what they want. I can really keep going until I want. Boom, I got the 4. I am done. We have completed the first line of this challenge here, and we immediately go to the next challenge. So we add a die, and this player now starts again and rolls everything and builds the pool just like we did the other time. Now their power is they can change 1 die to a result of 1, so they'll start keeping 1s here. Just because, well, they might be able to do very well here. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, they got a bunch of 6s. I guess I will keep something. And they'll continue. That's a 1. They'll continue. That's a 1. That's a 1. And one more. Okay, now I could use my power one time, make this a 1. Use my power another time. That's only at 1 life now, by the way. Make that a 1. Boom, I've just completed the second line of this challenge, and I would actually roll the dice and go straight into the third line of this challenge. This continues. So once this player is done, they'll turn their character sideways. They'll give it to this player. They might pick this character. They'll roll, try to complete some stuff. Once they're done, this becomes exhausted. It's the next player's turn until, basically, this is done. Once this challenge is done, everybody refreshes. The life points stay where they were, though. It's just all the characters are ready to go again. And we flip over a new challenge, and we tackle that challenge. This one here, for instance, which is called Meteorite Strike, has a bunch of lines. And the first, 5, require you to on a single die, roll a 1. Or less, technically, but a 1. And then on 2 dice, you must get a 2 or less, and on 3 dice, you must get 3 or less. But there is a bunch of challenges on this one card, okay? And so on. There's a few different ones. Some of them are simply dice manipulation for totals, like the third line on this challenge says 8 dice, 45 total or better. Some of them, of course, as you saw, require the same number. Some of them require low amounts, and some of them require very specific combinations. Like the second line on this card says a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 6. That's exactly what you must get. Once you've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 challenges here, then the 5th challenge is 2 cards flipped over together. You must get through all of that without anybody refreshing. And if you do that, then you win the game. Otherwise, if everyone's exhausted and something still has not been completed, then you've all lost the game. You are allowed to completely take a character's life out, which means at the end of that round, so when you're done, that character completely dies and you flip them over or discard them or what have you. They are gone. But that's basically the game. Complete 5 challenges with the second one, with the last one being a double challenge, and you win the game as a group. Seiji Kanai designs for me tend to be a little hit and miss. When they work for me, they really work, and I can admire the simplicity and the just the clarity of design that he is able to pull forth from just a few components. So games like Love Letter, Lost Legacy, as I said, I think really work. Sometimes, though, I find his designs a little obtuse, and I just can't get into them. This one, unfortunately, is a little bit on that obtuse side of things. It's a very Yahtzee-ish kind of game, and I feel the turns are a little too slow for my liking. I like the special powers of the characters, I like the concept of the game, but I find the target cards to be kind of boring with all those things, all the steps, but they're all very mundane. It's just not very exciting. And I do feel like turns can be very long for a single player while everybody else is just sitting there waiting for that one player to knock out a few steps. So it has a Yahtzee-ish feel, but it's somehow slower than that, and that's just not a good combination. I like the artwork. I like the idea of a co-op game with these few components. I like the concept. I just wish the game was a little faster paced and maybe a little more thematic. It's really basically an abstract dice rolling game. And so, while I don't dislike the game, I also don't find it particularly engaging, especially in a crowded field like co-op games, and another crowded field like micro games, so it's kind of in both camps there. So ultimately, again, I don't necessarily, hate the game or anything like that, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play it, and I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone looking for a co-op game or a micro game. This one just won't come to mind. And so that's 8 epics for me. An alright design, but unfortunately I don't think it's one of Seiji Kanai's best designs, though he has made some really excellent games. So there you have it. That is 8 epics.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.